Welcome to Inspired Nonprofit Leadership, where you'll hear insights and useful strategies, as well as lessons learned from other nonprofit leaders and valuable tips from a variety of experts. Here to help you with the challenges and opportunities you face day after day is your host and nonprofit leadership expert, Sarah Olivieri.
Hello, nonprofit leaders. I'm Sarah Olivieri, and today we're going to be talking about how to start making smart choices with simple numbers. That's right, data. And stick with me for just a few minutes, and I'll get you using your data ASAP. So, I want to tell you a quick story. The other day, I was having a conversation with two professionals who both have been in nonprofits and coach and guide nonprofits in their area of expertise. And we were talking about using data, measuring data, and looking at it weekly. And it reminded me how, for a long time, now we've been hearing about AI, but for a long time, we were hearing about data driven decision making, data informed decisions, and the importance of data. And there are many professionals, marketers especially, fundraisers who will bring you data. There's Google Analytics, lots of data being collected. And we know that using data is a good idea, but the reality of really using data is a lot harder than it sounds. It's deceptively hard. In fact, these professionals who were both huge proponents of using data and giving their clients data and creating data dashboards struggle themselves with using data, as I have in the past as well. And today I'm going to teach you how to overcome that challenge. So, first and foremost, I need you to start simple. Rather than putting together a bunch of automations and fancy dashboards, I want you to get used to tracking data and ideally pick one or two important numbers to look at each week. Once you're used to looking at your numbers every week, then you can start refining and adding more. Okay, so really think small. I bet you weren't thinking of just one or two numbers. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to just enter those numbers manually. That's right. No automations, no fancy, zip zapping dashboards. I mean, you can use the dashboard in a tool to go grab the numbers, but then I want you to copy and paste them or manually type them into the simplest of spreadsheets where you have whatever it is you're tracking going down the first column. And then along the top, the rows should just be each week of the year. Yes, I want you to look at your data every week. So, what data points are we going to start looking at? And we can grow this list to 5 or maybe even 10 points over time, but start simple, please. So, I want you to choose data that matters most to your nonprofit's goals or to your overall kind of health and wellness. So, let's talk about the goals first. When we are collecting data around our goals, we need to be mindful if this is an outcome goal, a result of something that we don't actually have direct control over. So, like how many new donors you get or how much money you raised that week. That's a result of someone else giving you their money. You don't have direct control of it. So, and then we have goals that I like to call execution goals. The academics call them process goals. You can also call them tactical goals. If you've ever written a SMART goal and it worked out well, it was probably one of this type of goal. These are things that you have direct control over, like how many phone calls did you make to reach out to donors, right? So you want to balance your data with, I'd say like 10%, 20% outcomes, and the rest should be execution stuff, especially when you're first starting out. So, like, are you doing the plan, right? That's what those execution metrics are going to tell you. So, how many calls did we make? And then how much money came in? Is it a direct correlation? No, especially if you're doing other activities, but it will help you ask some better questions as you start to measure those things. You can also have measurements that I like to just think of as thermometer measurements, right? So you're basically just watching them, it doesn't matter what the number is. We just want to see if it suddenly changes one way or another. So I like to watch website traffic. So if you're actively doing some sort of like SEO work and you're trying to get it up, then that might be a different kind of goal. But oftentimes, if you're not actively working on that, I still like to monitor like how many people are coming to the new people are coming to the website each week and just looking for a spike or a sudden drop. A spike could be somebody, you got an article in the New York Times and whoa, you wouldn't have known, but you were watching your data and you said, why is that spiking? And you took a look and you saw all this traffic coming from the New York Times. You're like, oh my God. And now I'm going to take some action around that. That would be a database decision making activity. You might also go, oh my God, some spammer is like spamming my website. Let my webmaster know or confirm that everything is safe and nothing is going to take my website down, right? So, but basically, I don't care what the traffic is. I'm just watching for sudden increases or decreases. So that's thinking about what you're going to measure. And the final tip is and we've got a visit of a puppy. It's cute puppy time. We're probably bored, so we're going to have to wrap it up soon. Puppy will help us wrap up our conversation here. You want to actually use your data dashboard, right? So what's the best way I know how to do that is bake reviewing your data dashboard into one of your recurring meetings. So if you have a recurring weekly staff meeting, do a quick review, make it part of the agenda. Also, if you're a leader, have a weekly recurring task in your calendar or however you mark your recurring tasks to review the data. I have that. I used to fill in all my data manually. I've done it for enough number of years that I have an assistant do it, but I now review each line item myself. And so, in addition to a weekly recurring task to look at it, I have also added the process for my assistant when she collects the data, she then sends me the link telling me it's ready for review in Slack. So I kind of have a fail-safe system, right? A redundancy in my process to make sure that I looked at it because I knew that at the point that I stopped putting the numbers in myself, it might be easier for me to skip it. And I know that it's a really, really important task for me to do. So those are my tips for you. These are the kinds of tips we discuss every week in the Thrive program where I coach nonprofit executive directors who are trying to make the biggest impact possible at their organizations. If that sounds like something you'd like to be in the room for, as well as learn all my approaches, the impact method and other approaches to funding and running your nonprofit, you can go to pivotground.com/application. I review those applications manually myself, so it may take a couple days for me to get back to you. And if you just like more tips like these, I encourage you to go inspirednonprofitleadership.com/sign up. You will get tips like this emailed to you, announcements about upcoming trainings, podcast episodes that are being released that I've been a guest on, or my weekly podcast that I host, Inspired Nonprofit Leadership. And I look forward to coming to you next week with another tip to help you make a bigger impact with more joy and time back in your day as a leader of a nonprofit. Until then, bye.
You've been listening to Inspired Nonprofit Leadership. Thanks so much for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode or the bonus episodes. And while you're at it, please leave a rating and review and be sure to share with your friends and colleagues. Tune in every week for more useful insights and wisdom on nonprofit leadership. Thanks so much for all you do for the communities you serve. Until next time, all the best.